Picture this. You're a grunt in the jungle, pinned down by enemy fire. You pull your trigger, and nothing. Your rifle jams. Again. The weapon Uncle Sam promised would keep you alive just became a 15-pound paperweight. Now imagine that happening across multiple wars with multiple weapons for decades. Welcome to the dark side of U.S. military small arms history, where good intentions, bad designs, and battlefield reality collided in the worst possible way. Today we're walking through 8 infantry weapons, rifles, launchers, and support guns that American soldiers were issued from Vietnam to Iraq. Some looked great on paper, some passed all the tests back home, but when the bullets started flying, troops didn't trust them. And in combat, trust isn't optional. Let's dig in. First up, the M14, the rifle that was supposed to replace the legendary M1 Garand and drag American infantry into the modern age of automatic fire. The M14 entered service in 1959 with a lot of hype. It was chambered in 7.62 NATO, had a 20-round detachable magazine, and could fire full auto. On paper, a beast. In practice, an uncontrollable beast. Because nothing says jungle warfare like a 9.5-pound rifle that climbs like a rocket when you pull the trigger. In the dense forests and rice paddies of Vietnam, soldiers quickly realized the M14 was too long, too heavy, and damn near impossible to control on full auto. Recoil sent rounds skyward after the second shot. Troops complained it was built for open European battlefields, not Southeast Asian brush, where you needed something light, fast, and manageable. One Marine later recalled, "You couldn't hit anything past the first round in auto. It was like wrestling a jackhammer." By 1966, the M14 was already being phased out in frontline units. It had a good run, of about 6 years, replaced by a rifle that would have its own problems. Speaking of which, the early M16. The M16 was supposed to be the wonder weapon, lightweight, accurate, low recoil. The Army told troops it was self-cleaning and required almost no maintenance. That was a lie.
When the M16 hit Vietnam in 1965, it arrived without chrome-lined chambers, without proper cleaning kits, and loaded with the wrong gunpowder. The Army switched from the original IMR powder to ball powder to save money. Ball powder burned dirtier, left more residue, and increased the rifle's cyclic rate, which meant more stress, more fouling, more jams. Soldiers in the field started experiencing catastrophic failures. Rifles jammed mid-firefight. Bolts wouldn't close, rounds failed to extract, and because troops were told the gun was self-cleaning, many didn't even have cleaning rods. In 1967, a Marine wrote home, "Before we left Okinawa, we were all issued the new rifle, the M16. Practically every one of our dead was found with his rifle torn down." Congressional hearings followed. Chrome-lined barrels, cleaning kits, and better ammo eventually fixed the problem. But for 2 brutal years, America's infantry rifle had a trust deficit it had to earn back, one firefight at a time. Now let's talk about a weapon most people have never heard of, the XM-148 grenade launcher. This was the military's first attempt at an underbarrel 40mm grenade launcher that could attach to the M16. Conceptually, brilliant. Give every rifleman the ability to lob explosive rounds without carrying a separate weapon. In execution, a disaster. The XM-148 had a trigger design so sketchy that accidental discharges were common. The aluminum receiver cracked under recoil, the barrel latch was fragile, and the sighting system was, let's call it, optimistic. Soldiers hated it, armorers hated it, even the guys issuing it probably hated it. Troops in the field called it unreliable and dangerous. Some units refused to use it altogether. By 1969, the XM-148 was quietly shelved and replaced by the M203, which, shocker, actually worked. The M203 became one of the most trusted pieces of kit in the infantryman's arsenal. The XM-148? A cautionary tale in the Pentagon's What Not to Do folder. Let's jump forward to 1985. The U.S. military needed a new sidearm to replace the aging M1911. Enter the Beretta M9. The M9 won the contract in part because it had a 15 magazine capacity, double the capacity of the 1911, and it was NATO compatible, chambered in 9mm. But almost immediately, troops started voicing concerns. Stopping power was a big one. The 9mm round didn't have the punch of the .45 ACP, especially in close-quarters combat. Magazines cracked or failed to feed reliably in dusty environments like Iraq, and early models had issues with slides cracking after extended use, which is a terrifying malfunction on a handgun. One Army sergeant in Fallujah said, "I'd rather carry my rifle everywhere than trust my life to the M9. It's fine for the range, not fine for a door breach." To be fair, the M9 was eventually upgraded with stronger slides and better magazines, but for years it carried a reputation as the sidearm you carried because you had to, not because you wanted to. It wasn't until the adoption of the SIG M17 M18 in 2017 that the military moved on. The M9 served for over 30 years, but trust? That took a lot longer to earn. Next is the M241 Squad Automatic Weapon, or SAW. Adopted in 1984, the M241 was meant to give infantry squads sustained automatic fire without hauling around a full machine gun. It was belt-fed, fired 5.56mm NATO, and could suppress enemy positions while the rest of the squad maneuvered. In theory, it was a game changer. In practice, troops had concerns. Early models were prone to jams, especially when fed from magazines instead of belts. The exposed barrel got hot fast, and there were reports of burns from careless handling. The bipod was flimsy, and at over 17 pounds loaded, it wasn't exactly a joy to hump through the desert. Some grunts nicknamed it the Minimi, after its Belgian origins, and not always affectionately. Others just called it heavy. One Marine put it bluntly, "The SAW works great until it doesn't, and when it doesn't, you're the guy standing there with a 17-pound paperweight while everyone else is shooting." Over time, the M241 was improved. Better feed mechanisms, reinforced parts, training adjustments. Today, it's widely respected, but in those early years, especially Gulf War I and the early days of Iraq, it had to prove itself all over again.
Now for a weapon that didn't even make it to war, the FGR-17 Viper. The Viper was supposed to be the next generation anti-tank rocket, lighter and more effective than the M72 Law. Development started in the 1970s and the military was excited. Then the problems started piling up. Cost overruns, safety concerns during testing, questions about whether it could actually penetrate modern Soviet armor. And by the time all that got sorted out, the threat had changed and newer systems like the AT-4 were already available. So the Viper never saw combat, never got issued, never even had the chance to let soldiers down in the field. It just disappeared. A footnote in procurement history and a reminder that sometimes the weapons that fail hardest are the ones that never make it past the PowerPoint presentation. Let's bring it into the 21st century with the XM8, the rifle that was supposed to replace the M16 and M4 once and for all. Developed by Heckler & Koch in the early 2000s, the XM8 looked like something out of a sci-fi movie. Modular design, integrated optics, lightweight polymer construction. The Army ran trials, soldiers tested it, and by most accounts, it worked. So what went wrong? Politics, mostly. Requirements kept shifting, the program got expensive, and there was pushback from units already invested in the M4 platform, which had just been upgraded. By 2005, the XM8 was officially canceled. Some troops who tested it were frustrated. One NCO said, "We finally had a rifle that felt like the future," and then they pulled the plug because some general didn't want to retrain everyone. The XM8 never betrayed soldiers in combat because it never got to combat. But it's a perfect example of how bureaucracy and budgets can kill a good weapon faster than any enemy ever could. Okay, last one, and this is a curveball. The M114 Armored Reconnaissance Vehicle. Technically not a rifle, but infantry units hated this thing, so it deserves a spot. The M114 was supposed to be a light, fast recon vehicle for scouting and support. What it actually was, underpowered, under-armored, and a magnet for landmines. It couldn't handle rough terrain. The aluminum armor didn't stop much, and troops quickly realized it was more dangerous to be inside than to walk alongside it. Some units called it a death trap on tracks.
By 1969, it was pulled from Vietnam and replaced by the much more reliable M113. The M114 ended up in National Guard motor pools, where it couldn't hurt anyone. So there you have it. 8 weapons that looked good on paper, passed the tests, got issued to troops, and then failed when it mattered most. Some were fixed, some were replaced, some were quietly buried and never spoken of again. But here's the thing. In combat, soldiers don't care about Pentagon procurement strategies or budget line items. They care about one question. Will this weapon work when I need it? And when the answer is maybe, trust dies fast. Next time, we're diving into the vehicles that let troops down, from wheels that couldn't handle IEDs to engines that quit in the desert. You won't want to miss it. If you've got stories about weapons that failed you or saved you, drop them in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into military history that doesn't sugarcoat the truth, hit that subscribe button. Stay safe out there.